Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Becoming series. Here we're going to be talking about exploring the deep truths, and the principles that will make you become everything that you were created to be. Thank you for joining me once again. I hope you're doing good. I hope everything is going great with you. Now, the world as we know it is really turning into a crazy place, as in, like, even if that wasn't evident, we can see that the manifestations of everything that is going around in the globe, from Africa to the US to Europe, things are just going crazy, right? But in the midst of all of these things that are happening, if there is one thing that we can bank on, or one thing that we can sort of hold as a constant, it is the need for us to become everything that we were created to be. And that is why this series is so important. I can't stress that enough. Now, what is becoming, right? Even before we give that a particular definition, I'd like to anchor it to a particular principle. And I think that this is really important. Why? Because principles are really the things that hold every endeavor together, that give it meaning or that give it life. Now, what do I mean by that? What I mean is that for every human endeavor under the sun, there is a principle that guides it. There's a principle that makes it work. There's a principle, or there are principles that make it function. So, for instance, gravity is a principle. It's a law, right? It's a universal law, meaning that it works anywhere, anytime, any place, gravity functions. If you go to the top of a 10-story building in the US and you decide to become Superman, and you throw yourself down from the top of that building, you're going to realize very, very quickly that there is a principle called gravity. If I stand on the top of a 10-story building here in Nigeria and I do the same thing, I'm going to realize the same thing. No matter where I go in the world, if I stand at the top of a 10-story building and I decide to become Superman, I will discover that there's a principle called gravity. Gravity is a principle that says, in simple terms, whatever goes up must come down. It is a force that draws objects to the center of the earth, or to the earth itself. So no matter how high an object goes, so far as you're on the earth, it will ultimately come down. That is the principle. If you're in a marriage relationship, right, there's a principle, or there are principles that govern or that guide the relationship that you're in. It means that, for instance, you have to stay honest and faithful to your spouse. You have to communicate. You have to do chores. You have to, raise children together. These are principles that guide the working of the relationship. If it's a friendship, it means that you must reach out to to the other person frequently. You must, share your thoughts. You must grow together. These are principles. These are laws that say these are the things that you must do in order for whatever you're doing to be ultimately successful, right? So that is the simple or broad definition of a principle. Now, what is the principle of what we're doing? What is the principle of becoming? The simple principle of becoming is a principle called self manifestation. Self manifestation. That means to manifest yourself. I mean, that's easy, right? Manifest yourself. But how do we do that? How do we manifest ourselves? So let's even backtrack a little bit, right? Um, I think the very first thing that we need to realize is that people are really not looking for you. The world itself, this world that we're inhabiting, doesn't really care about you. It's a hard truth. It might be hard for you to hear or digest, but that's the simple truth. It is the simple truth. The world really does not care that you exist. Now, how many are we on this earth right now? We're almost 8 billion, about 7.8 or 7.9 billion. Out of all those 7.9 billion people, there are only comparatively few people that have risen to prominence in whatever field or whatever endeavor they've chosen to pursue, whether it's the arts, culture, politics, or government, or business. There are only a select few people or select handful of people that have risen to prominence, and all the other people that are in that space or in those spaces, we don't get to hear of them often, or we don't even get to hear of them at all. The thousands and millions of people that are doing things in that same industry or in that same space are nameless, right? Now, why is that? Why is that? It is because the people that have risen to prominence have manifested themselves. The other people that we don't know of really haven't. Now, what do I mean by this? I mean that in order for you to become known in a particular industry or in a particular sector, or known for doing something great or achieving something great, you must manifest, or you must become all that you are meant to be in that space, because the world really doesn't care about you. People are not looking for you in particular. What they're looking for is what you are carrying, because you are carrying something within you that is meant to be manifested to the world. Now, for as long as you don't manifest that thing, the world will ignore you. That's the simple truth. The world will ignore you. And that is why, despite our emotions, or despite the thoughts that we have of being great, or of wanting to do something great, the world is ignoring us for the simple reason that we are not really manifesting ourselves. We're not really manifesting ourselves. Now, how do we do that? How do we go about manifesting ourselves? We have to realize that for as long, like I just said, for as long as we do not manifest the thing that we are carrying, that the world needs, will continue to be ignored. You can live for 100 years and the world will not care that you breathe, that you came to this earth, that you lived, and that you died. Will not even remember you, except for maybe the tombstone that marks that this is the spot where you were buried. It is that bad. Now, why is that? Why is that? Simply is because we haven't manifested ourselves. So if there's anything that we must ensure that we do in our lifetimes, it is to manifest ourselves. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the whole essence of the Becoming series. We're here to learn the deep truths and the principles that would enable us manifest ourselves, to enable us become all that we're created to be, right? Now let's even dig a little deeper. For you to manifest yourself, first of all, you have to realize that each and every human being on this planet has specific needs, right? There are needs that every human being has, whether they realize it or not, whether they are cognizant of them or not, whether they want to discuss them or not. These are needs that are embedded deep within the human psyche or the human heart. I mentioned a number of them at the last episode. I sort of introduced them, right? But today I want to really talk about these human needs, because for as long as we don't understand how these needs operate, or why they work the way they work, or how they're embedded in our psyche, we'll not really be able to manifest ourselves to the degree that we ought, right? Because we don't understand what is driving that principle of self manifestation. So, what are these needs? There are about 8 of them, right? And for us to break them down properly, we have to structure them and sort of give each of them a particular identity or particular name, right? So we have purpose, right? We have value, we have significance, we have importance, we have fulfillment, we have meaning, we have personal power, and we have success. These are the 8 greatest needs that human beings have. So let's talk about them, right? So the first one is what? The first one is purpose. The need to have a reason for living. Purpose is really the reason for something. It is what we call the why. Why does something exist? Why is this thing made? Why are we doing this thing? Why are we here? Why are we in this particular spot? Why? Purpose is the why question. What is the reason for doing this thing? What is the reason that we're acting in this way? That is the question, or those are the questions of purpose. And for each of us, whether you realize it or not, we are asking that question deep in our hearts. Why am I here? Why was I born? Why do I think the way I do? Why do I act the way I do? Why was I born at this particular time in history? Why was I born into the family I was born into? Why? It is a question of purpose. And we have a need to answer that question, right? That is a need that bugs us, whether you realize it or not. That is a need that bugs us. That is it is a need in your heart that is saying, or that is asking you or mandating you to answer the reason for your existence. You have to justify why you are here. You didn't just come here to breathe oxygen. You didn't just come here to eat and to live for 100 years and then die. You came to do something specific. And until you answer that question is always going to bother you. It's always going to knock your head. It's always going to be tapping at the back of your mind or the back of your brain. Why? 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 We have a need for identifying the reason we are here, the need for purpose, right? What is the second need? The second need is the need to feel valuable. We need to feel valuable. And that is a very basic human need. Each and every one of us wants to feel that we are valuable, whether it's in our families, in our relationships, right, in our friendships, in our workplaces, in our places of religious activity, no matter where it is, we want to feel that we are valuable. Now, if you think back to, maybe back in your history as a human being, and you think back to all the times that you were ignored, or all the times that you were made to feel less valuable, or you're not made to feel valuable at all, you would have felt a very deep sense of hurt. That sense of hurt is embedded within you because at the root of our existence, we all want to feel valuable. We all want to feel appreciated. We all want to feel that the things that we have said, the things that we have done, the way that we have acted, or the things that we have put in place mean something or have meant something to people. We want to feel valuable. Another need that is closely aligned to the need for value is the need for significance. The need for significance. We want to feel significant. We want to feel that, right, without us, one thing or the other doesn't happen. Or if we're not in a certain place on a particular day, our absence will be felt by other people, right? We want to feel significant. We want to feel, want to hear people say, "Hey, I didn't see you yesterday. What happened?" Or, "Hey, this thing couldn't get done the way it could have been done because you weren't there." We want to feel appreciated. We want to feel that we have or that we mean something. We want to feel that we are contributing something that is of significance. That is a very deep human need. Whereas the next one, we want to feel important. And importance, that need to feel importance is closely aligned to our ego. And I mentioned the last time that when I say ego, I'm not necessarily referring to that pompous feeling of, yeah, that this is me and nobody else can, stand in my shadow, or nobody else can stand in my shoes, or whatever it is. The need to feel important is a basic human need. And it simply means that we want to feel that we are here to accomplish something that other people can appreciate. That is basically what it means to feel important. We want to have that feeling of, hey, how are you? Where have you been? Oh wow, we couldn't get that project done last week, or that function couldn't hold because you weren't there. We want to feel important, right? What is another need? We want to have want to have a need for meaning. What is the context for our lives? What is the meaning, for our existence? Why are things happening in our lives that the way they do? What is the meaning of it all? it this meaning, or this need is really aligned to, if you think back through human history, we've always had that need for exploring our environment, whether it's outer space or inner space, or just moving away from where we are to looking at the world around us. We're trying to understand the meaning of it all. How does the earth work the way it does? Are there other people out there in outer space? Are there aliens? If we go into the inner sea, are there things that we can explore? We want to understand things, want to understand how things work, want to understand the meaning of things, right? So that need for meaning is very deeply rooted in the human heart. What's another need? The need for fulfillment. Now, this is very important. Why? Because all of us, at one point or the other, want to feel that we have fulfilled something, whether it's an assignment, or um, we bought a car, right? Or we finally paid off our mortgage. We want to feel that we have fulfilled something. We want to feel that we have accomplished something. The need for fulfillment. When you get something done, you're like, wow, I did it. We have that rush. It's like a rush that comes to your brain. We got this done, on to the next, that sort of thing. We have that need for fulfillment. Want to feel that we have fulfilled something, we have gotten something done in our lifetimes, right? What is another important need? The need for personal power. The need for personal power. Now, when I say power, don't get it twisted, right? Because for some of us, or for most of us, we normally interpret power to mean that, okay, wants to be in charge of stuff, or wants to be in charge of people, which is basically correct, right? But when I say personal power, what I mean really is that we want to feel in control of our circumstances. And if you think about it in that light, each and every one of us, each and every human being, has the need for personal power. So look at it this way. If, for example, you went to the hospital, God forbid, right? This is just an example, and you were told you had a terminal illness, how would you feel? You will feel what? Powerless, because you have encountered something that is what? Beyond your control, something you cannot control. You feel powerless. If you have a kid that possibly is autistic, right? Or you go to your job that you've been working at for the last 10 years, and you turn up the next morning and you're handed a quit notice. You feel powerless because you have met things that are beyond your control. You have encountered a crisis situation. And I think all of us can relate to this, especially as we have just come out from the main period of COVID, even though COVID is still going on out there. But we've sort of like brought it under our control a little bit. But when it first struck, it was crazy, wasn't it? It was, right? It was crazy. Nobody knew what to do. It was a crisis situation, and all of us felt powerless. This was something that we had never encountered before, and it just came and was ravaging the globe. We felt powerless because we have the need to be in control of our circumstances. So when we ask one another, how are you managing? What we're really asking is, how are you able to be in control of that situation? How are you able to maintain your sense or your need for personal power, right? So all of us have the need for personal power because we want to be in control of our circumstances, which is why we desire money, which is not a bad thing. Money in itself is not the objective. It is the thing that money can buy. Wants to have a better life, wants to have a better car or better house or better sort of circumstances, better food. or want to be able to travel. We want to be in control. And we understand, whether consciously or subliminally, that money gives us that power that we desire, that power to be in control of our circumstances. And the very last one is the need for success. And of course, this is something that is very evident to all of us as human beings. We want to feel successful. We want to have successful marriages. We want to have successful friendships. We want to be successes in our jobs. We want to be successful. We want to feel that we have succeeded in something that we have put our hands to. And whenever we fail, or whenever something happens that causes us to experience failure in that thing, we feel disappointed, we feel hurt, we feel angry, we feel upset, we feel discouraged. Why? Because each and every one of us has the need to succeed. Now, these needs, all these needs, these 8 needs, are the very deep needs of the human heart. And you have to understand that the way it works is that it is embedded in each and every human being. And the way we relate with other people, right, says a lot about our awareness of how these needs operate in other people's lives. So when you're talking to somebody and they're mentioning things about, not really understanding the direction of their lives, that is the question of purpose that is bugging them, because they want to understand what is their life's journey all about. That is why some people do crazy things, right? They adopt weird hairstyles, or they just want to do something outlandish that grabs the attention of other people, because they're seeking importance, they're seeking significance, they're seeking value, they're seeking importance, they're seeking to be known, they're seeking meaning, they're seeking a context for their lives, they're seeking success, and they're seeking a sense of personal power. So these are the needs of the human heart. Now, when you tie all that together, it means that for us to be able to answer those needs, we must become ourselves. We must become the true and the definitive version of ourselves, because who we are truly answers all those questions, and answers them very effectively, very adequately, and very efficiently. Once you understand who you are, you're able to understand your purpose. You're able to understand what gives you value. You're able to understand the meaning for your life. You're able to understand what makes you important, what makes you significant. You're able to understand what will make you fulfilled. You're able to understand how you can gain control of your circumstances. And you're able to understand how you will be a success. You have to become yourself. Become yourself. That is the most important goal, the principle of self manifestation. All right. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you so much for listening. Until we meet again very, very soon, it's your boy, William Awana. Peace.